I'm a friend of Rick's. From Alexandria. He says you can come back to the community if you wanna.
Why?
Rick is trying to build something. He needs all the hands he can get. He wants to show people that things can change. You don't want to be alone. People. Everything is about people. Everything in this life that's worth a damn.
What's your name?
Morgan Jones.
You can call me Ann. Let me get my things. We can go.
Oh, you can go. I'm gonna stay. I want to be alone. I need to be.
I thought you said...
They are, but I can't. I can't.
Welcome to the Monday Morning Critic podcast. I am so happy to have you listening today. That was a clip from this past Sunday, April 15th, the Walking Dead season finale. That was my favorite scene of the episode, in an episode filled with great scenes. That was a scene between Jadis, who is played by Pollyanna McIntosh, and Morgan Jones, who is played by the iconic Lennie James. And those of you who have been listening to the podcast or know me personally know how I feel about Lennie James as a person, as an actor, and you especially know about what I think about his portrayal of Morgan Jones. It is nothing short of phenomenal. And me personally, if I took in, and you guys know I've seen just about everything, if I took in any cinematic feature I've seen, any television endeavor, anything, Morgan Jones is probably my favorite character just because of his complexity, his depth, the fact that I started my podcast. I was so motivated by his portrayal of Morgan Jones. I started a podcast just riffing on what I thought about the character and how much I was moved by episodes 4 and season 6 titled Here's Not Here. I was just so blown away by how special it was. It just made me want to talk about The Walking Dead and Morgan Jones and Eastman in this awesome show that we've been watching for 8 seasons. So today's appearance by Lennie James is that much more special to me. And it's an appearance I've been working on, I want to say, since June of 2017. If I'm off, I'm not off by much. So this is not something where I just pick up a phone, I call somebody, and they appear. A lot of work is put into it. I don't want a pat on the back. I'm just saying that when I go and I get guests, it's groundwork. It's people that I want. It's not just taking anybody because they're a celebrity. They're very specific people who have done very specific and special things. There is not one guest I've had on my podcast that I've had because they are popular, because they're a celebrity, because they're well known. I have handpicked each and every one of them because of how their work moves me. Lennie's work has had a huge ripple effect in my life, certainly in my podcasting life. And, you know, one of the big taglines in season 6, episode 4, Here's Not Here, is that all life is precious. Now, as much as I want to sometimes not believe that in my personal life, it's something I certainly strive for. It's something that I certainly want to believe, and it's certainly something that has motivated me. And during, when I'm not interviewing people, and I am so proud of the Monday Morning Critic, you have no idea how proud I am of this podcast, of how much people have responded to it. The feedback I've been getting, I want to say this past half year, has been nothing short of amazing. And it's something that's definitely going to stay. I'm not getting rid of it. The Monday Morning Critic is my main podcast. I could not have dreamed a better scenario for the Monday Morning Critic podcast. I am so proud of it. It is certainly a staple in my podcasting universe, and it's not going anywhere. But for a long time, I want to say 7-8 months, I've been tinkering with the idea because on the rare occasion I don't have a guest, the entire conversation pretty much is about The Walking Dead. And it got to a point where I said, once a week, I want a Walking Dead podcast. I finally decided to pull the trigger and go forward with it. And I have. And the podcast is entitled the All Life is Precious podcast. It is available on iTunes now. And I've got some wonderful ideas for this thing. I'm going to have people on. We're going to break down The Walking Dead starting from the very first episode entitled Days Gone By. And we're going to work our way through season 8. And the great thing is, one of the great things, is we're going to be able to compare and contrast. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to have people that I've met at Comic-Cons. I'm going to have close friends. I'm going to have celebrities that love The Walking Dead on. It's going to be a ton of fun. And again, the All Life is Precious podcast. It is up on iTunes now. Once a week, we'll have an episode where we break down The Walking Dead. We break down the characters. And it's obviously All Life is Precious comes from the Eastman Morgan episode in season 6. The big tagline is All Life is Precious. And it's a theme that Morgan Jones is having a hard time accepting. And Eastman has experienced the same type of loss Morgan has, but yet is preaching this unbelievable kindness. And it's an episode that I know with a lot of Walking Dead fans hits home, and IMDb, its ratings are through the roof. And, even this past episode during the season finale, we finally see Morgan in a place where he says, and he's talking to Jadis, you don't want to be alone. Everything is about people. Everything in this life that's worth a damn. And and Morgan's not flawed, but he battles a lot of things. And for him to say that, it just resonates with me, and it just goes to show how special of a character Lennie James is portraying, and what an unbelievable job he's done. So the podcast is All Life is Precious. I hope you give it a shot. I think you'll like it a great deal. And without wasting any more of your time, I'd like to introduce my next guest. He is writer and actor Lennie James. Lennie has an extensive IMDb filmography. His most recent work is a show called Save Me, available in England now. Crossing my fingers that it comes to the States sooner than later. He writes in this show. He acts in this show for Sky Atlantic. I am really psyched. Just doing research on this show. A lot of complexity, a lot of depth, a lot of wonderful actors in this show. So fingers crossed that it finds its way to the States. And finally, here is Lennie James. Hello, Lennie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So finally, I'm really happy to be able to interview you today. It's certainly a pleasure of mine. Welcome to the show.
Good to be on the show.
So, Lennie, I have to say, on Sunday, you were with Andrew Lincoln. You're with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Scott Gimple, Kirkman. Today, you're with me. I hope that's not too big of a letdown.
Well, let's see, shall we?
Okay. So I have to say that, you are the big reason why I started a podcast. Your body of work, who you are as a human being, and it's just, there's so much to the resilience of Morgan Jones, so much to you. And, I've probably seen more TV, more movies than most. And by far, Morgan Jones is my favorite character of any of them all time. And I'm sure you've heard that before.
Morgan seems to have struck a chord with people. I'm very glad of that. I'm happy that a character that I have a real affection for and a real loyalty to seems to connect with the fans. That's really an added and an amazing bonus, really. So I'm glad that Morgan seems to be having that affection, because he's a character I really love playing. I like getting into his head. I like the way he sees the world. I like the way he attacks the world, and he's like I say, he's a fantastic character to play.
Yeah, Lenny, and one of the things, we met in Boston. I had a press pass. You're always mobbed, so I can't. There wasn't time to meet you or interview you. I did have to get a picture with you, and I had a sweatshirt that's Morgan Jones's image with the walking stick, and I took the picture with you, and you said, as I was leaving, you said, "Hold on, please," and then you took a few more pictures. You said, "Hold on, please." I said, "Okay." You got a Sharpie from somebody working there and signed my sweatshirt. Yeah, if you didn't have me before, you had me then.
Well, I'm glad I didn't turn out to be a disappointment in that way. But if I'm out meeting the fans, then for me, it may well be a long line of people that I'm meeting, but for each person that I meet, it's possibly the first time they've met me.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you was, when you get the role, I'm sure you feel great about it. But as the years go by, as the seasons roll on, do you become, maybe this is a stupid question, do you become more attached? Do you become more protective of Morgan's fate, his future, how he's portrayed, how you portray him? Does time play a part?
Absolutely. I think if time doesn't play a part, then someone's not paying attention, and that's a lesson within itself, really. I have a real. I'm very protective of Morgan, the character. With the crossover, when it was first suggested to me, one of my first questions, if not the first question, was, "How is this a right move for Morgan?" And that was an important question to get an answer to, because if it wasn't right for Morgan, then it wasn't right for me.
Well said. And I've had many of your castmates on the show, and I don't prompt this. Your name and Melissa McBride's name comes up, like, as far as in a way of respect and admiration by your castmates. And like I said, I don't prompt it; it just comes out. I think the respect that you have from your cast is like nothing I've seen before. And I've interviewed a lot of actors, and they're all great, but I've never seen anything quite like this.
I don't know how to respond to that, to be absolutely honest. And it's very nice to hear. It's not necessarily something I work for or strive towards. I just, bottom line is I love doing my job. And I particularly love doing my job when I'm doing it with really good people who are equally as committed to doing their job. And if that, one of the byproducts of that is that my castmates and crewmates speak highly of me, then I'll take it every day of the week. But the working atmosphere we have on The Walking Dead is very important, and so it is also on Fear.
Right. And one of the things of researching your amazing life, obviously I knew you as an actor, but I really didn't know Lennie as who Lennie is. And, one of these things I read was, there was this magazine called Big Issue, I'm sure you're aware of it, where celebrities have to write a letter to their younger self. And you write this wonderful letter about your amazing late mother. And this is a weird way of looking at things, and I have a weird way of looking at things. As an actor, you are such a wonderful actor, and I get that part of it. But does personal experience and what you've been through, what Lennie James has been through, does that play a part ever in a character that you are in a role as? Does that ever, I know you're a professional actor, I get that, but does personal experience play a part?
Well, everything plays a part, really. I mean, the thing about an actor, I remember once working with an actor who said this fantastic thing. He said that whatever character I play, the only blueprint I have to work from is my own. So on one level, although you sculpt it and mold it and change it and connect it in very kind of different ways, you bring your own emotional experience, your own emotional blueprint to that character. So you might not have experienced exactly the same thing that the character has experienced, but you might have experience of something that is like it or not like it, and if you don't, then you try and find it in different ways. So it's not just about experience, but absolutely experience. Your own personal history, your own personal experience plays a part in the characters that you play. The job of the actor is to select the right ones.
Yeah, that's well said. And you know, one of the things that, you know, I feel that season 6, episode 4, Here's Not Here, is the most important episode in the Walking Dead universe. That's my opinion. And I smiled, Lenny, ear to ear when you were speaking to Jadis as, you know, obviously as Morgan in the last episode, the season finale, in which you told her, you know, she doesn't want to be alone. Everything is about people, everything that's in life that's worth a damn. And I just smiled because that was Morgan channeling Eastman. Talk a little bit about that. You know, is that has Morgan completely lost Eastman and his influence?
No, completely the opposite. Morgan is hugely influenced by two men, really, and for slightly different reasons. One is Eastman, obviously, because Eastman was the one who pointed the way for Morgan, the kind of way of the peaceful warrior. He's the person who gave Morgan the stick. He's the person who put the notion that all is precious into Morgan's head.
And you know, Lenny, that's what I think I love most about Morgan, is that he keeps moving forward as difficult as life is. And I think that's why I revere a character like Morgan, you know, so much. And it was heartbreaking to see on Fear, you know, one of his true quotes was, he said, you know, I lose people, then I lose myself. What a heartbreaking quote. You know what I'm saying? It's just a very difficult, it's really Morgan's life. That was an emotional quote. That's an emotional moment for Morgan.
It is, but it's also a statement of honesty. That's exactly the reason why he walked away from Alexandria, walked away from Virginia, and it's exactly and when he says it to Max Grace's character, Al, he's saying it by way of saying it's the reason why I'm walking away from you two as well. And it's a statement of fact at this point for Morgan. He does lose people, and invariably when he loses people, he loses himself, and he doesn't want to do that anymore.
And I think everybody knows Morgan has an enormous heart. He's got this huge heart. And is it more exhausting? Is it exhausting for you to play a character that has so much depth like Morgan does? Is it exhausting as an actor?
No, it's completely the opposite. For me,
yeah.
I can't speak for all actors, but for me, I get bored very easily. So the more complicated, the more nuanced, the more deep a character is, the better. The more engaged I am, the more effort it takes to make that character true, the more I enjoy it. I like to break sweat with my characters. I don't. If it's easy, at this stage of my career, if I've done it before or it's easy, it's less interesting than if it's a challenge and if it's some effort.
My last Walking Dead question for you. If Eastman was alive today, would Morgan be in a better place?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I would like to think that the answer to that question is yes, but invariably in this world that we're telling the stories, it's never as simple as that. I think if Eastman was alive today, Eastman would be a very different person, because you have to remember that the way that Eastman was surviving was, in a weird way, what Morgan, certainly when we meet him at the beginning of season 4 in Fear, is striving for, which is solitude. Eastman survived by being alone in a cabin with a goat and not interacting with the rest of the world or other survivors at all, unless they stumbled across his property. And that may well be what Morgan strives for, but I'm not sure about how long Eastman would have been able to keep his solitude, and if he did, then...
Yeah, that's a really powerful statement.
I'm not absolutely sure.
Yeah, that's a really great answer. It's not an easy question. One of the more underrated movies that you've been in is The Next 3 Days. I really enjoy watching that just as a sidebar. I think it's a really good movie. So
Thank you. That was a lot of fun to do.
I want to talk about this new show you have, and I'm really upset that it's not in the States because, again, it looks like a character that's a really complicated character, and those kinds of characters make, for me personally anyway, it's the most fun to watch, whether it's movie or television. The show is called Save Me, and not a change, but you're also a writer on the show. Is it difficult, Lennie? Is it a double duty to be an actor and writer? Is it a difficult task, or is it like your acting approach? You look forward to these types of challenges.
Well, it's in a weird way, I didn't approach it in that way. It was I was asked, did I have an idea for a returning television series, and I did have an idea for a returning television series, and Save Me was it. So having the chance to write it was where it started. I hadn't thought about acting in it as much as just wanting to write it. So I set about writing it. So the first stage of it was just about the writing, and then when people started reading the episodes, we started having a conversation about who was going to play the main protagonist, a character called Nellie. And in most people's opinion, who had read it, I was the best choice. And I fought that for a while because I didn't want my involvement to in any way hamper the chances of the thing being made, because I was committed to The Walking Dead. But eventually, it turned out that I ended up acting the way it kind of came about. And it was hard work, but it was my idea. It was something that I was passionate about. It was a story that I wanted to tell. So that slightly tempered any feelings of it being hard work.
Yeah, and the cast, I was researched. The cast is amazing. It looks like a truly amazing show. I mean, it's the initial reviews are through the roof.
We got a fantastic cast: Stephen Graham, Saran Jones, Jason Fleming, Sue Lynch, Kerry Godleman. They're all fantastic British actors, and they all said yes to doing this job, and we were so glad and and lucky to kind of get them. And the response back home in England has been beyond our wildest dreams, really.
Mm-hmm. So, Lennie, I wanted to say two final things to you. If it was up to me, I'd keep you on for another 2 hours, but I'm sure for your sanity, I won't do that. So there's two things I want to say. I want to say you have some wonderful people surrounding you between your publicist and Tish. They have always kept their word. They're really great people, and I'm sure you know that. I just wanted to say that because as a podcaster, when you're trying to get guests that you admire and respect, people don't always keep their word. The people that work with you do that, and I can't tell you how much that means to me as a human being.
Good, thank you very much. I mean, you don't hear that at all, actually, or very often, but it is important to me that the people who represent me, and take the time to find out what's important to me and the things that I will do and the things that I won't do and won't second guess me. And it's good that, I thank you very much for saying that, because it's important to know that that's how my representatives are perceived.
And I want you to know that I will forever be a fan of Morgan Jones. He is my inspiration. He is a guy that I just love his complexity. I love the way you portray him. But most importantly, I'm going to remember the excellence and the kindness of Lennie James. Lennie, thank you so much for giving me some of your time today. I can't even tell you how much it's appreciated.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. It's lovely speaking to you. And it's good to talk to you again.
Yes.
And so, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you down the road, Lennie. Thank you so much. Best of luck on Fear. Take care.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
What did you do, or what do you do now?
I clear.
What the hell does that mean?
Walkers, people, anything that gets anywhere near me, I kill them. I clear.
It's about redirecting.
Evading.
And actually caring about the welfare of your opponent.
So you have to care about yourself.
You have to believe your life is precious, that all life is precious.
You have to redirect those thoughts, the history that tells you otherwise.
What we've done, we've done.
I realized why I'm here a long time ago. I realized I am here to clear. We evaded by moving forward with a code to never do it again. To kill walkers, to kill people.
To make up for it.
To kill anything that comes anywhere near me. To still accept what we were. Everybody turns. Everybody turns.
Yeah, I know what happened.
I'm not talking about changing into a walker. I'm not talking about that.
To accept everyone.
To protect everyone. You answer me, damn you. You tell me, or I will kill you.
And in doing that, protect yourself.
To create peace. The good people, they always die. And the bad people do too. But the weak people, the people like me, we have inherited the earth.
I've come to believe that all life is precious.